like I said, I don't know what he's done. That's between him and God, whether good, bad, or ugly. That he's gone before the Father and been judged for that accordingly. So I don't have anything to say about that.
Now, another role that comes up is Michael Jackson, the American Dream movie. How did you get that particular role?
I got that role. I'll try to make it as short as I can, but I was, my mother and one of my cousins, Lainey Stewart, opened up a studio in Evanston, Illinois called Groove Asylum. I was there just kind of hanging out with my cousins in the studio, writing records. And at the time, my cousin was represented by a lady by the name of Ruth Carson, who was a manager at DePass Entertainment at the time, which is Suzanne DePass's company. Ruth was coming there because she was representing Lainey, and they were doing some business, and she happened to bring it up in conversation that DePass Entertainment had just brokered this deal with ABC Television to do the Jackson story, An American Dream, about their family. So when she would see me in there singing in the studio, she was like, yo, like, man, he's only like 11, 12 years old. Like, he's dope. Like, when we start the auditions, you guys should let Jason audition, because I mean, he's already acted before. I'd done like maybe 2 feature films prior to me booking the Jacksons miniseries, so I had a resume. It was short, but I was in the game. And so when the call finally came out, when they were looking for kids to audition and recruit for the Jacksons, DePass Entertainment, or casting, was made aware of me through DePass Entertainment. Casting called my agent. I went down, I did a self-tape, downtown Chicago, after school, did the lines, performed a couple Jackson songs, sent the tape out here to Los Angeles. Maybe about 2-3 weeks later, I got a producer's call back. They flew me out here to Los Angeles, flew me and my mother out here, auditioned in front of the Jackson family, the director, the producers, the casting director, and damn near a whole audience that was just like there. It was a ton of people that were there. They flew me back to Chicago, flew me and my mother back to Chicago on a red eye the following day. And then I didn't hear nothing back from them for another 4 months.
Wow.
Because Michael was on tour.
What was going on in your mind? Not hearing nothing
You know
back?
what? At that point in time, like, I knew that I had done a great audition. I knew that I really impressed them. But I hate to say it, I was going into the mentality of like, well, man, why would they pick me? Like, I'm just some kid from the city. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, all right, that was cool. That was a cool experience. Like, I know I'm dope. I know I'm deserving of it because I prepared for it. Like, I think I'm the best at it. Like, I was able to assess the competition that I was dealing with when I was there in Los Angeles. I don't think anybody can fuck with me, but we'll see. But I went back home and just kind of got back into my normal routine of just being a kid again. And the reason why it took so long was because Michael was preparing for the Dangerous tour and was over in Europe.
Okay.
And this was before the internet. This is before cell phones. This is damn near, I think this is before even like email and stuff like that. So it's like literally, when you would send out a taped audition, you would literally put it in FedEx, and it, so it was one of those things. So when he had time, I guess after rehearsing, when he had time to look at the tapes of the 3 kids, the 3 finalists, who casting and who the family had picked for him to view, I was the one out of those 3 kids that he chose. Wow. And I came home from school one day. I remember I had a shitty day at school, and because it was something I felt like an algebra test or something, and I just knew I was gonna hear it when I got to the crib, because it was one of those tests where they made your parents sign it. So I think I had gotten like a D-. I damn near failed that shit. So I'm dreading going home. And as the school bus is pulling up to the stop, me and my mother's house was like right across the street from the bus stop. So all I remember was like getting off the bus, and I just see my mother running out like, Jason, you got it. You got it. So I'm like, I said, did the school call ahead of time? Like, and give her some news? Like, I don't, what does she mean I got it? Like, I got an ass whooping coming? Or what does she mean I got it? She seems really excited about dulling out this ass whooping. No, she ended up sharing with me that my agent had just called and casting had informed her that I did indeed book the role and that Michael loved my tape and was excited to see me, you know, portray him in this film. And I'll never forget. I mean, I dropped everything that was on my back, my shoulders, and I ran up and down the block, like knocking on people's doors. And I knew they thought I was crazy, but I was like, yo, play Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson picked me. Michael Jackson picked me. So everybody's looking like coming out of the house like, what? No, what's going on? It wasn't until, you know, I was able to calm down and explain to everybody in the neighborhood what happened. And then it was just like a big celebration. And I remember before me and my mother and my cousin went out to Pittsburgh to shoot, to start principal photography, the neighborhood came, my mother had like a gathering, and she, like, you know, she fried chicken, shit like that, macaroni and cheese, had a big to do, and the neighbors came by, and people from the church, from Trinity came by. Pastor Wright prayed over me. And it worked. You know, that love that was displayed, the prayers that were placed over me, that I attribute my success with that role to a lot of that too. There's a lot of people that were behind me, supporting me, man, and praying for me. So yeah.
I mean, I think we all know like how impactful Michael was to our culture, what he represented. He did have controversies. Mm-hmm. Did that ever come up while you filmed it? What was? Nah.
Well. Michael, during that time, like after Thriller, he had just become a controversial figure after that because he was such a huge pop star. I mean, there was always something to inquire about him buying the Elephant Man's bones and sleeping in a hyperbolic chamber, and, you know, him and Bubbles. And I mean, it was always like something. So I wasn't unaware of the fact that that the media had a tendency to kind of like pounce on him and be rather harsh.
That's something that you kind of like picked up as a child, or is that a discussion at the house, like with you and your mom?
No, it's just something I picked up as a child, because I mean, he was the biggest star in the world. So like, you knew what he was going through, you know what I'm saying? Like you would see it. You would see the, you know, the changes even physically that he was going through, and, you know, with getting plastic surgery and stuff like that. So
I mean, how old were you when you filmed that?
I was like 12.
So you kind of could process that maybe he was making these changes from like an internal struggle, or?
Yeah, hell yeah. Wow. Hell yeah. I mean, I was able to recognize that whatever it was, whatever reasoning was behind Michael doing all those things to himself as far as altering his appearance, whatever the reason was, it had to do with something internal. I was able to really, I mean, you gotta have common sense.
Before, I'm just thinking there's a sense of empathy that I think that you seem to had held at the time, because, you know, kids, some kids don't process it that way. They're like, "What you doing? Why you look like that?"
Nah, I did, because well, first of all, I had been in the business years even prior to this, so I was able to lift the veil, so to speak, the veil of secrecy that the industry and what people had gone through. I've been able to kind of see that since 9 years old, to see at the end of the day that these stars or celebrities were just human beings at the end of the day.
Did you ever get to meet them?
Yeah, briefly. But yeah, and it was cool, and then the interaction was cool. Like, you know, to this day, in spite of what's been said about Michael and you know, all the controversy, and I won't get into all of that, but the only thing that I can say about him is that I'm thankful and I'm appreciative for the opportunity that he gave me. And he showed me love and showed my family love. He gave a kid from Chicago an opportunity to be on a world stage, to get seen, and to really like firmly plant his flag in the soil out here, to start a career, to have a career. Now the other shit, no, I don't know about all that, because I ain't experienced that. Right. I wasn't around all that, and it ain't none of my business. But as far as what Michael Jackson did for me and my family, I thank him. And I thank the Jackson family as well for everything that they've done. Like, because they were really instrumental as well, and just provided me the support that I needed while we were shooting it. Because when you're playing Michael Jackson, man, you got fans out here that are like obsessed. So there was a lot of, not harsh criticism, but just intense like scrutiny, if you will.
Yeah.
Because people just wanted to see their idol being portrayed.
What's something that you kind of were experiencing that you heard from the fans that kind of got like, it kind of started bothering you?
Well, it wasn't bothering me. As a matter of fact, like all of that kind of stuff was kept out of earshot of us because we were kids. So people like Michael Peters, who was our choreographer, Suzanne DePass, the producers, the director, those kind of people, they would keep us kind of like secured and safeguarded from that kind of stuff where we weren't exposed to too much of that. And thankfully, there wasn't like, social media shit then where, we could like just look, it would have been real intense. But we were reminded of the level of responsibility that we had placed on our shoulders. We were reminded by the people that we were working with, like the Michael Peters and like the Suzanne DePasses, like, look, you guys are about to go out here and represent Black entertainment royalty. Right. You know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, you gotta be on your shit because especially you playing Michael Jackson. Right, and it makes me think, just from an artist standpoint, because I know that some actors, they really get kind of tied into the characters that they play. I would imagine you might have felt connected to Mike. Yeah. So transitioning out of that, when you do see people talk about him bad, how does that affect you? Does it bother you or like? Yeah, I'll be honest with you, just completely transparent. It bothers me from the standpoint of the man sacrificed a lot to like entertain the world. A lot of personal sacrifices, a lot of internal struggles that he dealt with, just wanting to, in order to have a connection with people and to touch their lives in a way where they can have where it can have a positive impact. And to see a person like that move from that angle as it relates to what he's doing professionally, and to constantly always be confronted with people being like really overly critical and like harsh, and just the way that they would kind of view his appearance. And I mean, look, like I said, I don't know what he's done. That's between him and God, whether good, bad, or ugly. That he's gone before the Father and been judged for that accordingly. So I don't have anything to say about that. That's his journey. But as far as just what he was presenting to the public and his creative contribution, and how I know that he would work tirelessly to present something great to people. For the positive intention. For positive intentions, only for people to, whenever they could get a chance, they were taking like a swipe at him. Regardless of the fact that he was a musical pop icon, he was a human being. And I know even with myself, and I'm a really positive guy, but if somebody says some bullshit about you on the internet, now I disregard it because I look at it like, oh man, fuck him, like, he don't know me, you know what I'm saying? But the human side of you goes, man, that motherfucker don't know me. Beat his ass, you know what I'm saying? Man, you don't know me. Yeah, I see him on the street. Matter of fact, let me get his IP address. Let me try to track. You feel me? So, nah, I mean, looking at it from that standpoint, yeah, that would bother me. But, unfortunately, there's a unwritten contract that we as entertainers all sign our names on the dotted line for. And that unwritten agreement is that when you step out in front of this, expect to be criticized, expect to be judged, expect to be unfairly assessed. Because you're in front of a camera and you're giving people an opportunity to look at you and go, to find whatever flaws that you may have, and that's just what happens.